Hello, Will. How are you?
Hello, Weiwei. I'll start. One of the recurring thoughts that I had as I was watching the film is how demanding the refugees seemed. In other words, they would show up at the doorsteps of these European countries and then expect services. And I was thinking, do the European countries really owe them anything? And even when they are resettled, then they are still like unsatisfied. And my thought is like, for goodness sakes, they're lucky to be alive. And so so I have other thoughts too that maybe reflect better on me than that one, but maybe I'll stop there and you can comment on that.
I think basically, if I have to use one word about Europeans' response to refugees, I would say shameful. Shameful. As we all know, the whole Europe, or basically the world, is really went through a dramatic political and change in past century. The European nations also fight with each other, and it's just it's not too long ago. But today, and they all have been refugees in one time or another. So and also some have been treated more kindly, and some has been treated extremely harsh, most like the Jewish community has been, devastating. But today, if we look at the new refugee situation, the Europe totally accepted maybe under 2 million refugees from a Syria war or Afghanistan, Iraq, all those combined. But then over 90% of the refugees are settled in their neighbor states, which only have like 2% of the global economy. So the most rich nations like US and Europe doesn't really accept that many refugees. And so even the one already landed in Europe still in unacceptable conditions, such in Germany and many other places. Of course, they are grateful, or they are still alive, and they have a safe place. But they have been giving very little amount of support. Like in Germany, in Berlin, the refugee may receive like 650 euros per month, which is ridiculous, and they couldn't find a job, and they cannot integrate with the new environment. So that that has been 4 or 5 years past when they decide to accept this 1.2 million people. But I think it seems nothing really happened. And, that is the general condition.
I wonder if I could jump in. One of the things that I was and am interested in is the issue of the broker, the people who charge large amounts of money to these people to put them in leaky little boats and send them off towards Italy. Did you run into that? Did you see that, or because I don't think it comes out in the film?
You mean when you talk about broker, you talk about the smuggler?
The smugglers, yeah, exactly. I guess broker is perhaps
first time I hear the words of broker. It's,
Yeah, I understand.
of course, there's a smuggler. Every step a refugee can make, it requires, there's money involvement. I think in our film, Human Flow, we have you watched the Human Flow?
No, I haven't.
How about you?
Yes,
You did.
I did.
So I suggest you watching Human Flow, because this is like a sister movie, but in much grand scale. So in there's a lady who is calling me. She is from Iran, and she is devastated, because every step, if you waiting for the smuggler, you have to pay, and thousands of dollars, even for a child. So, but if you don't, they also manage. I think everybody paid.
Yeah.
Whoever come to Europe paid, and I think miss least like a few $1,000s. This is very normal.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Well, I would tell you, I was in very difficult situation in China. If somebody can pay, at that time, if somebody can, I don't care, smuggling or whatever, provide me out, I would pay. I would pay whatever I have to just to get out of there.
Another impression I got of the film is that at first I was impressed that an artist with you're a famous artist basically, and yet this is an interesting move for you to hand over the soapbox or the stage to other people. And I got the impression through most of the film that you were not making a statement of any type, and you were just letting them speak. But then that changed for me as we got to the end of the film, because I realized that this is quite a condemnation of Europe and its response to the refugees. I think part of that is in the refugees that you selected to represent. For instance, those that were resettled, I believe, in Germany, but chose to go back to Iraq. And of course, you could have chosen another family that had a more successful resettlement.
No, I don't see anybody had a successful experience. This is just, Germany have a clear deal with Afghanistan government. I also interviewed the ambassador of Afghanistan, ambassador to Germany from Afghanistan. So it's a clear policy. They think Afghanistan is a safe nation and they will send back the refugees, which is not true. It's not a safe nation. And we all know what happened in Afghanistan. I think Germany are very hypocritical to wave the flags to say we welcome you, but at the same time, they are really not doing so.
In the film, part of the impression is this attempt by the Germans, in particular the Scandinavians, the Swedes, to integrate people into their society. Do you have views on the appropriateness of that, given that they're refugees and not voluntary migrants?
I think first those countries from a language point of view, it's very hard to really integrate. They all need the laborers. Germany has 2 million people, labor gap. They need to fill it up, and the Syrian refugees probably is the highest educated group they can get. Refugee I interviewed in my whole trip, the first one still living in my flat. He till today, and he couldn't find a location. He's an engineer. He has 7 languages. He can speak 7 languages. It's amazing person and very outspoken. But I just, I couldn't get rid of him. He stays in my place. I feel bad for him, but I said maybe you should move out. That's your choice to, to be part of a society. But same time, I cannot push him. So I understand his difficulty. $650 not going to for him to survive. And Germany, streets is dirty. The trees has nobody to take care of. Nobody cut it. I mean, you don't have to pay high amount for refugees. The excuse is they cannot give a lower amount, so there will be unfair treatment for their own laborers or stuff. But same times, how can you pay someone 30 euro an hour to work? 30 euro a day, it would be great for them. So, this is a problem with globalization. You cannot even use cheaper laborers. You only can explore the cheaper laborers in China or in India, to make cars and to make all the kind of equipment. But when they come to your place, nothing you can do about it. So it's really tragic.
The film, it brought to mind the idea that we maybe think of refugees or people in an unfortunate situation as less than, as human beings. And one of the impressions I got was that you were impressing upon us the idea that we have not just human beings with basic needs where a country like Germany can say, well, we've taken care of them, but actually reminding us that they are that they have families and desires just like we do. And for me, that came into play when the family in Sweden was reunited and they brought their cat. And a pet, of course, is a non-essential part of a family. But of course, it's that kind of thing is an essential, or it's an important part of lives of Americans and Europeans, and then people from refugees. It should be no different.
I think refugees are human, just like you and me, and they have emotions. They have their own dreams. They definitely associate themselves with the goodwill towards others, and they have been treated so badly, and to be given name as a refugee, and just like if you give a name as terrorist, it's such so strange, to not recognize those humanity in each individual, and they need to help. They need help.
Will you continue to pursue the issue of refugees, movement of people, or will you continue with the genre that you're working in now? Film?
Well, I'm an artist working with no plan, but in my hands there's another film about the Rohingya refugees. We already made for months. Already be done. I sent it to Cannes, film festival. Normally, I always send my film to festivals till it's been refused. Most of the films, almost all of them, been refused somehow. So, because all those festivals have a deep market in China, they cannot avoid, they cannot have the risk to film my films.
Yeah.
So the Rohingya refugees are from Myanmar, and they settled in Bangladesh. It's such a tragic. It's biggest refugee camp, almost reaches 1 million. And recently caught a big fire in their camps. And those are really beautiful people. We made a film, and it's going to, I think, very soon Ken will announce if they accept it or not. If they don't, we just put online. Like my other films, we did Coronation about the Wuhan pandemic lockdown. It's on Vimeo, and we did a Hong Kong struggle which is also on Vimeo called Cockroach. So, what can we do? We are just a filmmaker, and we try to make the best out of our knowledge or our ability. But basically, we don't have a platform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was wondering what it's like for you to work in documentaries. It seems like quite a different means of expression from the other art that you produced.
Well, film has its own nature. I have to, if I write a poetry, it's very different from I write a novel or I write a manual. It's very different. So I was in the film school 1979. With those filmmakers, Zhang Yimou, Chen Kaige, we are same year of students, but never really want to make a film because China's censorship. And I just want to be an artist, so I don't have to go through, my art with this kind of bureaucrats or propagandist, censorship. So, but till very late, I started to make a documentary because I do have the ability to put online so people can watch it. But the problem is that not so many people even pay attention to films anymore. Coronation is the first film about this pandemic originated, rooted in Wuhan, and we have a beautiful film about it. But very few people watch it. Every newspaper talked about it. And still, and there's not much audience.